Dele Momodu, former presidential aspirant and PDP's 2023 campaign strategist, has dumped the party as well, blaming what he calls a hijack by anti-democratic forces. He's now aligning with the African Democratic Congress, a platform rapidly gaining attention as a possible unifier of disillusioned opposition. I take that back, opposition voices. It's starting to sound familiar, doesn't it? In 2015, it was the APC that rode into power on the back of an opposition coalition. Now, in 2025, some are asking, can the same script unseat the APC, or is this just political musical chairs in new robes? Tonight, I'm joined by Titilope Anifowoshe, lawyer, development consultant, and a vocal supporter of the Tinubu administration. She's appeared on this show before in defense of the government's policies. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Let's begin with updates with the former president's state funeral. We've seen the Tinubu administration go all out to honor him in his death. There's an ongoing special FEC meeting. Some dignitaries attended prayers even aftermath the burial. Would you say that he's gotten the due honor, or there's still more that can be done to remember him?
I think, first of all, may so rest in peace. We haven't witnessed the sort of honor that is being given to a past president in our current democratic dispensation. So I believe that President Muhammadu Buhari indeed is getting the honor due to him as not just a two-time elected president, but as someone who has spent over half of his lifetime serving Nigeria. So I think, yes, he's getting what he deserves.
Absolutely. Good way to put it, especially now that all eyes are. And we're going to talk about what happens next because former President Buhari was more than a president. He was a movement sort of in the north. For over a decade, we are told he commanded an almost court-like 12 million vote base, especially in that part of the country. With his passing now, who inherits that political capital? Can anyone truly step into that role? Or are we witnessing the end of an era?
I personally believe that we are witnessing the end of an era. Let's not forget that President Muhammadu Buhari did not just, get this following just yesterday. I do not think that political followership is something that can be inherited. I believe that people choose to follow individuals based on what they believe this individual has that other persons do not have. If we look at history, President Muhammadu Buhari contested against Olusegun Obasanjo. He contested against Goodluck Jonathan. He contested against even Yar'Adua. And he still consistently got the same following that he got. Right now, I can't think about any other person from northern Nigeria, except probably Kwankwaso. And of course, we saw what happened when Kwankwaso tried to be president of Nigeria. He got a measly 1 million plus votes. So I believe that this is the end of an era. But let's also not forget that President Muhammadu Buhari, till his last breath, was a devoted member of the All Progressive Congress. So I wouldn't be looking at this inheritance from the angle of a personality inheriting his political structure, but from a political party being able to follow suit with the sort of following that former President Muhammadu Buhari had.
I get you, but his person is such a quiet and silent personality that doesn't poke nose into political affairs, especially when he left office. So it's really hard to tell what his stance was. He didn't disagree quite as much with his administration. But many of the people who worked for him, we see them now leaving the APC for the new coalition party. So perhaps it's safe to say the North is now wide open again ahead of 2027. But does this shift strengthen or weakens the APC, considering the fact that there are so many of those individuals who supported Buhari prior to this time who have now left and moved on to the coalition base?
Let me remind you that when former Governor Nasir El-Rufai said something around, having President Muhammadu Buhari as his leader and then, leaving the APC, President Muhammadu Buhari's spokesperson came out outrightly to say that President Muhammadu Buhari is a member of the APC, is a supporter of the APC. I think that is lucid, beyond microscopic scrutiny, to show the leanings of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Whether or not individuals who worked under his administration have now chosen to opt for the ADC or any other place is immaterial. What matters is that at the point where former President Muhammadu Buhari had to show Nigerians that this is where I belong to, he came out through his spokesperson to say, I belong to the All Progressives Party. And I think that is clear enough.
Well, I like the way you put it, but I think the coming days will tell, for instance, where the CPC family is going to end up, right? And also the position of some of those northern governors and individuals who have, closely supported and followed President Muhammadu Buhari. Because it's really hard to tell. I remember speaking with Garba. You said that again?
I've quoted a legal maxim. I would have quoted a legal maxim.
Yes, please go ahead.
That the action of an individual, cannot be stated to be the action of the individual's agent. Every individual under the law is one. So if you, Nifemi Ogutoye, choose to take an action, we will take you by you. We won't take you as an employee of TVC. So if Boss Mustafa, any other person opts to leave the APC, that is their decision, not that of former President Muhammadu Buhari.
And I agree to you to that extent. I'm just trying to also buttress the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari has, proven over time to most times answer all of these things. You hardly can tell what he's thinking. You recall in 2023, the most likely believed that he wasn't supporting the candidates of his party. That left a lot of room for quite a number of interpretations and misinterpretation. You saw what happened with the cash crunch, right? And what have you. But let us move on to the issue we have before us. We're seeing some PDP leavers now, and they are pointing accusing fingers to the APC as being responsible for the PDP's misfortune. I think it was Dili Momodu who said that there are certain anti-democratic agents that have destabilized the PDP. I know you are a supporter of the APC. I don't know if you are a registered member yourself, but they say that the APC is behind the disruption within the PDP. How do you react to that?
Well, they say that the APC is behind the disruption. They say, again, qui partit palium partit passe. He who acts through another does the act himself. I think I'd like to, take a cue from what the secretary of the APC once said, that if I am a member of the Arsenal, I will be excited if Chelsea isn't doing so well. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressly said it during his last visit to the National Assembly to say that Nigeria is a democratic state, and it will be an excitement for members of the APC to see the PDP in disarray. The onus is on PDP to ensure that they fix their party. Let's not continue to, play blame games and all of that. Moderate quad non abet. One can give what they do not have. What is left for whatever political party, whether it's PDP or ADC, is to be able to show Nigerians that they have the capacity to be able to fix not just their political party, but Nigeria as a whole. How do you come to tell me that you want to fix my country, you want to fix my community, when your roof is leaking? That quad non abet. You cannot give what you do not have. Apparently, the PDP cannot give that orderliness because they do not have it. So I do not think that it is logical to start, peace or whoever as being the agent of ruin for their political parties.
This is also turning out to be a great class for me, Ms. Anifowose, because by the time we're done with this conversation, I would have learned more Greek and legal terms and also formed to be a lawyer myself. But the APC in reality won in 2015, riding on a big coalition that included ex-PDP forces, right? And a couple of governors. Now we're seeing Atiku and Obi talking coalition ahead of 2027. You don't see history repeating itself if you pay close attention?
I pay close attention. I'm in Kwara, for example. The person who is the leader of the ADC in Kwara contested for senator just during the last election, and he lost even in his own polling unit. That is grassroots for me. That for me is a typification of the strength of the ADC. And indeed, the All Progressive Congress is a result of a fusion of individuals from different political parties. Individuals who resigned, individuals who chose to close the door and then open another door, not individuals who are choosing to put their one leg in one place and one leg in another place. Individuals who were resolute with what Nigeria wants. Individuals who had clarity of the direction that Nigeria needs. Individuals who spoke to Nigeria in clear terms, not in name calling. Individuals who said to Nigeria, we have the alternatives. Right now, all of what I've read from the ADC points at one thing. We want President Bola Ahmed Tinubu out of the Aso Rock. Nobody is saying these are the things we are going to do differently. Let me also state that if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is this keen on his second term, he wouldn't have made the tough decisions that he made in his first few years. For me, the Lagos playbook is very explicit. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu laid some groundwork in Lagos, and years after, decades after, people are still benefiting from that groundwork. For me, I'm very, very good with looking at things and learning from the example that I can see. Who are the forerunners of this ADC political party, for example? Who are the forerunners? What are their antecedents? The fact speaks for itself. I don't want to quote another legal maxim.
Well, you know what? In all honesty, I think that we have moved beyond what President Tinubu did in Lagos. In 2027, we won't be talking about how he performed as governor of Lagos. We probably will be looking at what he's been able to do relative to his campaign promises. But we'll talk more about that right after this break. Titilope Anifowose, lawyer and development consultant, apparently a supporter of the Tinubu administration. Thank you so much for staying the course on the program. So I was saying that in 2027, we're going to perhaps move on from Tinubu's performance in Lagos and how good a politician he is. We're probably also going to be talking about performance. And his supporters like yourself have highlighted infrastructure reforms, subsidy removal and what have you. But there's the issue of living costs, which has been soaring. And the Nigerians will also now begin to compare the figures. Some are saying democracy is also feeling pressured. I'm sure you're paying attention to the opposition. What does the president need to do differently within the next 18 months to keep public trust?
Well, I think, for one, res ipsa loquitur, let the facts speak for itself. First of all, just like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does, we need to apologize to Nigerians for the hardship that a short time, sometimes or most of the times, for us to get to our destination, we need to give our all. China, for example, I'm quite familiar with the Chinese economy and the Chinese governance. China didn't arrive at where it arrived at today, just on a bed of roses. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we must commend him for making the very tough decisions that previous administrations could not make. What this means is that whilst we have to go through the brunt, which is short-term, we are assured of a prosperous future. Let's look at it. Typically, the fuel subsidy removal, the forex unification, in the past, it was very difficult for one to be able to do business with Nigerians without being scared of the alternating forex prices. Today, we have inflation. However, there are 1,001 anti-inflation measures that are currently going on. Look at the recent
Well, we have to reconnect with Titilope Anifowoshe. There are conversations. Let me just quickly follow up on your submission, Ms. Anifowoshe, because I've also spoken with quite a number of stakeholders in this administration. I've heard them brandish figures like you are right now, but it speaks to the macroeconomics of things, right? For those of us who go to the market, who have to pay, you know, when you talk about exchange rate and the stability that he has brought, it is relevant, it is a fact, but you also need to compare the figures right now to what we were doing prior to this administration, right? And then Nigerians will judge this administration based on their quality of life, what they are able to afford. So I am of the opinion that this administration will have to really narrow, you know, the kind of difference that exists currently between macro and microeconomy in such a way that the average Nigerians can feel it, right before the election. Do you agree with me in that regard?
Well, I'd say to you right now that what we are going through, yeah, is very temporal. Realistically, I'm not an economist, but I go to the market every day. And I've studied and seen countries who were once in our position and who are now in better places. And what they did to be able to arrive at the utopia or the prosperous nation that they have is currently what we're going through. In the past, everyone, including yourself, would agree that we needed to implement the Orosoya report. We would also say that we really needed, as a nation, to work on our taxes. We needed to work on our subsidy. We needed to remove the subsidy. What this means is that in terms of policy, we are actually doing what needs to be done to be able to get to a better place. However, because of where we're coming from, the hardship is telling on everyone. And the good thing is the current administration sees it, which is why some of the very, very sustainable social infrastructural projects are currently in place. You know, there's this Yoruba adage that says that ìjìyà ló ń tán ìyà sí mímu. What it means is that suffering comes before dignity or celebration. So we're going through a lot right now, but I believe that we are definitely going to be in a better place because we are right on track.
This suffering had better be limited because Mr. President has just 4 years, you know, for a single term, and he has to campaign again. And for Nigerians, it would matter the quality of life that they are privy to. But let's also touch on the political alliances you think he has to make, because you seem to have played down the ADC. But between Atiku and Obi, they had 13 million votes, for crying out loud. That was enough to win the election in 2023. I think that anybody who is paying attention to the numbers and the political precedents of these individuals will not take that lightly. There are also conversations as regards whether or not he still has a strong alliance in the north as he did in 2023, now that former President Buhari is no longer there, and you admitted to the fact that that space is open for whoever who has the guts to take the 12 million votes that they say he always had year after year. What kind of political alliances must the president begin to forge across regions to be able to secure a second term, if you will?
Mention the sum or the cumulative Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. You forgot to mention Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the candidate of the APC got 8.7 million votes. That's about 36%, one person, not the measure of 2%. I believe that we need to be very realistic. What factors contributed to these individuals amassing the numbers that they amassed in 2023? Are these factors what we have right now in Nigeria? I doubt it. Nigerians were angry from the issue with the Naira scarcity to EndSARS protest. We had a very deeply divided elections where people voted across religious and tribal sentiment and what have you. I believe that some of these factors are not what we have right now. Don't also forget that some of the biggest pockets that gave the PDP this huge confidence, like Delta State, for example, the former governor of Delta State was the vice presidential candidate of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Delta State is now an APC state. Some of these states are now, in APC.
Well, I doubt if you won that election for Atiku in 2023. I have to check again, though. But I don't think PDP won in Delta.
Speaks for itself. Fact speaks for itself. Was the former.
Oh my, I think that we lost connection with Titilope Adefooshe, who is a lawyer and a development expert. We lost you for a minute. Can you just wrap up in 30 seconds so we can go? We're running out of time.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as opposed to what happened in 2023, is now waxing way stronger than what we had in 2023. So I'm confident that his 8 million votes would actually, double.
Indeed. You support him, so for him to win, we need other people who don't like him as much as you do to also, share the same sentiment that you have right now. But I guess time will tell. Both the opposition and the incumbents seem to have enough time to make things work for them as we count down to 2027. Titilope Adefooshe, a lawyer, development consultant, thank you so much for talking to us on the program today.
Thank you.
That's our show, everyone. You can watch it again at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.